Hello friends, good morning. Today I have come up with a new video to explain to you how to build a web app to connect to MySQL database and display that data in a tabular form. So we have been looking at how to build graphical user interfaces to display data from a backend database server such as MySQL. And in this video, I am going to explain to you all that you need to do to get the data displayed in a neat fashion. So students, when they're doing their mini projects, normally they think of HTML, CSS, and PHP for database connectivity. But however, there are better ways of doing it, especially using HTML, CSS with jQuery and using Ajax to asynchronously update the page content. So in this session, I'm going to explain to you all the steps that are necessary to build an application. At the end of the video, we should be able to generate a web interface of this sort. So as you can see, I'm displaying product info with product ID, product name, and price. And as I click on the get info button, it will display the next product ID in the table until all the data items are displayed. So to get this happening, we need to write a lot of code in the backend. And on Node, I'm going to use Express.js to do all of this. So what is the coding required to do database connectivity and also asynchronously transfer the data in a JSON format? We shall see in the subsequent steps. So before we go on to the coding part, we need to understand the entire architecture of such an application. So it's a three-tier application where on the front end we have the HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and on the back end we have the web server driven by Node.js and Express. And at the data tier, the third layer, we have the MySQL database. Now, we need to understand how the data transfer actually takes place. So, the jQuery will invoke Ajax module, and Ajax module will send the data to the web server in XML format using a HTTP request. Normally, the web browser or the client will be residing on in one browser at a particular port number, let's say 5501, and the server will be running at yet another port such as 8000. So this request goes to the web server running at the backend, and this web server will contact the MySQL module to get the data in the JSON format, and the JSON format is sent back to the browser. And the jQuery program at the browser will capture this data and render it on the screen. So typically, this is the scenario, and we'll be keeping in mind that there will be a client connecting to the server. Client will be connecting from port 5501, and the server will be running at port 8000. Since the port numbers are different, there will be cross-origin issues which will be addressed by a module called course, which is running on the Node.js side. So all of this we shall see quickly how all this can be done. So let me quickly take you to the command prompt. Let's create an application here. So make there my web app. Navigate to that my web app and start your Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code comes up. Before we go on to write the programs, let us organize our code in a systematic way. The first thing to do is create an index.html file. Then you create certain folders. Let's say for images, I will create one folder images. Then I will create one for scripts where I will put all my JavaScript or jQuery programs. I will create one more for keeping all my style sheets. Yeah, that's it. Now we need certain modules before we take on the actual implementation. So let me first create the template HTML file by putting exclamation here. So as you can see, basic HTML file has come up. And if you want to test whether it is working or not, just put hello world here. and if you launch this, you will see hello world coming onto your browser. So quickly we'll see, yeah, hello world is coming up, so it means my HTML template is working fine. Okay, so we need Bootstrap and jQuery to get all the styling done and the logic implemented. So let's install these two modules in our application. The way to do that is npm install jQuery. On the JSON file, you'll see that there is a jQuery entry in the dependencies hierarchy. So that is done. Now let's install Bootstrap. So be careful about the spelling here. So the installation starts and you will see the Bootstrap entry also appearing here. So we have both Bootstrap and jQuery installed. Now we need to set a link here for these to be accessible to us. The first thing is link rel style sheet. This is for establishing link to Bootstrap, and you have to write href equal to dot slash node modules, and then you see there is a Bootstrap folder, then there is a distribution folder, there is a CSS folder, and then if you scroll down you will see one file Bootstrap CSS min.css. So this is a file we need to set the link to. Okay, so this has to be done very carefully. The second thing is we have to set link to our jQuery. It should be script src equal to dot slash again node modules, and then you see there is jQuery, there is dist, there is jQueryman.js. So we have set link to both of these things and they are accessible to our code. Okay, so we are going to first build a style sheet of our own and we'll structure everything accordingly. So at the outermost we have a container, so just say dot container. You will see one div coming up. So within this div you will have all other controls. So for example, I want to have another div here which will contain a heading and a counter. So here is let us say product info, and we can have a span wherein I can put a counter. Okay, and we can assign some IDs to these. So ID equal to counter, and now we want three text boxes and a button, which we are going to get it from Bootstrap website. So go to Google and just type Bootstrap. You will see Bootstrap website there. Click on docs and search for input, and you'll see inputs of certain types here. And if you want wrapping this kind of a input, you just copy this, come back to your Visual Studio Code and put them one by one. So I need three of them, and after that I need one button here. So you can have button class, we know it is btn, then btn warning you can have, and it can be of size, let us say 25, and margin, let us say 3. So we have kept three text boxes, and we have one button here. So let us put some names to these inputs. So id is equal to, I want to put PID here, so I would name it as PID. Then second input is for uh, product name, pname, and third one is for, let us say I want to display the price here. Okay, so the button should also have an ID so that we can use it in jQuery. So let us call it as show. So we have all these things in place and we need to define a container style sheet here. So just say give some name beautify.css. So I'm going to define a container. So we want the height of this to be some 500 pixel, then width should be some 400 pixel, background color should be of certain type. So we can just scroll down and select, let us say, some color like dark cyan. Then we can have border radius of, let us say, 1 ram. Then we can have display. The display should be of flex type. This is very important. I want to place all the uh, elements one below the other, so you should select flex direction as column here. And so we shall see if anything else is required, and we can have one header here for displaying the header information. So here also we can have display flex direction. Instead of row column we will use row, and then we can have align items center and justify content as space between, so that the elements are spaced appropriately. So I'm going to use this header for putting the header content appropriately. So in the div I defined the class as header here. So let us see the effect of all this. If I go back to my web browser here and see through my web page, if it is not showing up, you just have to click on this and again go live. So you see that we have a weird looking interface and not really very interesting. So the spacing has to be done, the button size has to be defined and all that. So we have a lot of work to do. So what we have to do is we are not linked the style sheet, so that's why there is a problem. So we have to say link rel style sheet, then href dot slash script styles, and our style sheet is beautify.css. So this was not there, so it was not showing up correctly. And for button, we have not put any caption, so that's why we have a problem here. We just have button here, which is incomplete. If you see, it has to be completed like that, and you should say get info. Only then the button will show up with certain size. So if you go to home and rearrange all these things, and now if you go back and see, you will see that an interface coming up like that, but still it is not in the correct form. We need spacing between the controls. So what we can do is div you can have a margin of 2 is a closing h1 tag. So you have to do these things quickly, and there is a span which is a counter which is 0, and counter style sheet also you have to define. So you should have class counter here, we shall define quickly. You go to beautify here and you just say dot counter, and you can have background color as pink, then width let us say 40 pixel, height 40 pixel. Be careful about the spellings here. If they go wrong, then we have border radius. You can have 3 ram so that it is perfect circle, And if you want it to be perfect circle, slightly larger, this thing is required. Then you can have font weight. Font weight, it can be bold, and you can have color of the font as, let us say, brown here. So now you see something better coming up. So we have the product info. Of course, the counter is misplaced. Then there is space only after the first one. We have to place the spacing for the other two. So I'll go back to my HTML, and as have shown you, I have put margin of 2 for first one. I need to store for margin of 2 for the second one, second input box, and the third input box is here, which is again margin of 2. That's how it should be done. And in beautify background color, then the text has to be at the center. So you have to first say display is flex, then align item center, then justify. Okay, so when I do all this, we shall see the effect. So as you can see, the GUI has slightly improved now. We have to set the lengths of these text boxes, and there should be a margin around the items. So again, I go back here. You say a margin of 10 pixel. Okay, and even for h1 tag, I can have so now if I go back and see, it's a lot better. And if you want the color of the h1 to be set, you can say color. You can have color of, let us say, bisect or something. Anything is fine, which looks better. And if you now go back and see, it's a lot better. Now there's a spelling mistake here, which I have to go back and set it here. Product info. So that is what is missing. So we have product info here, counter here, and get info here. Now we have username everywhere, but that is what we have to modify to make it product ID. So placeholder here should be product ID. Then second one will be placeholder. It will be product name, and the third one is okay. So so far so good. We have created a graphical user interface. However, you can see the lengths are too long. For product ID, it should be small. Product names can be longer. Again, product price has to be smaller. So we have to adjust those bits. So what you can do is, we know that this is for price. The width can be of 50 size, and for placeholder for this is for product name. It can be a full length. That's okay. Then for product ID, we want it to be of size, let us say 25. So if I go back and see, you have these things. So product ID can be slightly bigger. Okay, 50. So 50, 100, and this. So we have a better ID now with shapes and all. As you can see, the box is also sticking to the border of the window. We have to slightly bring it down. Go back to the style sheet here. Go to your contact container. So container, you can have a margin of, let us say, 10 pixel, and this margin can be top margin. So anyway, the control is at the center, so you can, we have filled it like this. So now let us quickly have a data folder here. So call it as data, and within this data we can have let's say products.js. So I'm going to simulate the presence of a JSON object. So we can have const all products here equal to square bracket and then curly bracket. So here I'm going to store PID as 100, comma pname as television, and some price as 14,000. Okay, so this is going to be my first JSON object. So JSON is nothing but Java object which is in the form of key value pairs. So if you wanted, you can create a few more of them so that we have something more to display. So let me create one more, 101. So this can be washing machine, then price can be, let us say, 25,000. And if you wanted one more, you can always put one more, and let us say 102. Then this can be mixer grinder, and this can be, let us say, some 7,000 rupees. So this is my data, and we need to link it to my HTML so that it is accessible to us and we can show that data in our GUI. So let's link it again. So a script src equal to dot slash, if you go to I think so it got into the styles folder if I'm not wrong, data. So you have to link it appropriately. If it is inside some other folder, it has to be linked like that. Now let's write our scripts now. So let's call it as display info.js. So here I'm going to write the jQuery code. So you have to write it like this. So you just try to say dollar function. It means whenever the document is ready for taking data, or when after rendering it on the browser, the control comes here. So we want to display all the items in the list. So let us take one variable I equal to 0, and we can you know write the click event for the button. So we know button is show data, or we need to identify what is the name given to the button here. So button ID is show. So I need to write the code like this: dollar double quote hash show dot on click comma function. So this is a callback function. It means whenever you click on the button with name show, the control comes here, and what you want to do has to be done. So we have the input controls. Uh, One is named as PID, and we want to set its value to, you know, all products of I. You take the ith object, get its PID. We want only the property here. Okay, so we just copy paste this 3 times so that just eliminate this one. We need to, sorry, so we need to copy this 3 times because I want to display product ID, product name, and price. Okay, and then we know that it is the name here and price here. So these are the exact names that you gave in our data file when we created it. Okay, so on click of the button, all these must be shown up, and we need to increment the counter so that next time when you come, it will show the next object. And at the same time, we have a counter there, dollar hash CTR, which should be incremented. So you can set its text property to I. So we'll see a lot happening when this code actually runs. And before we run this, we need to link this JavaScript file to our HTML. Again, go to the header section here. Here you should link the dot it's in the styles folder. Sorry, it is in the script folder dot slash scripts folder, and within scripts folder, as you can see, display info.js is there. Okay, so we are done, almost done. And if I go back to my web page now, it should be ready with my GUI. And if I say get info, it will get the first data object from our data table. And if I click, it will go to the next one. The counter is also working fine. So that's it, friends. In this video, we have nicely built a GUI and connected to data source which is within the application. However, this is not the aim of the entire web application development. I'll be taking it to the next level. In the next video, I'm going to discuss how to build the backend using Node.js and Express, and from there connect to MySQL and return data in JSON format. Once the data is in JSON format, we know exactly how to display it as we have done it here, and we shall take the steps to build that application completely. So that's it, friends, for today's video. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, click on like button and subscribe to my channel, and also write any comments. Thank you.